In this video on PSAT, SAT prep, we're going to discuss solving literal equations or rearranging formulas to solve for specific variables. Okay, so I have two examples here of equations that have all variables in them, and we want to solve them for a specific variable. So looking at this first equation on the left, I have ax plus b is equal to c, and I want to solve that equation for a, which is right here as the coefficient in front of x. And so that's what I want to isolate or get by itself in this equation. And to do this, I'm going to use inverse operations. And so by that, what I mean is that I notice here I have a plus b. And so therefore, to move that to the other side, it needs to be subtracted, since subtraction is the inverse operation of addition. So I'm going to subtract b on both sides of this equation, and so therefore that's going to give me ax is equal to negative b plus c. Now, in order to get rid of x so that the a is truly by itself, notice that ax here is a multiplication of a times x. And you don't necessarily see that in mathematics a lot, because when we put two things together like this, it's an implication that we are multiplying, or meaning it's just understood that it's going to be a multiplication whenever I have ax put together like that. And so in order to undo that multiplication, I use the inverse operation of division. And so since I want to leave the a on that side, I'm going to divide by x on both sides of the equation, and so therefore I'm going to get a by itself, and it's going to equal to negative b plus c divided by x. Now, in the second equation over here on the right-hand side, I have d is equal to c divided by pi, and I want to solve for pi. And the first thing that I notice is that pi is in the denominator of a fraction, and so what I'm going to have to do is multiply both sides by pi to get the pi out of the denominator, because really a fraction is just division. And what's the inverse operation of division? It's multiplication. And so I'm going to multiply this entire equation by pi, and so that's going to give me pi multiplied by d is equal to, and when I multiply this right-hand side by pi, pi is going to cancel, and so I'm just going to be left with c. Now remember, I'm wanting to solve for pi, and so now I have pi times d is equal to c, and the inverse operation of multiplication then is division. And so to leave the pi on that side by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by d. That's going to cause the d to cancel out here, and so I'm going to be left on the left-hand side with pi is equal to c divided by d. And so hopefully these two examples have helped remind you of some things when we solve literal equations. And so now you can go back and retry the problem on your Google form.